So it isn't just about knowing what we need to do. It's about the will. And the will is a beast that most people can't wrestle into the shape they want it to be in. You know where I've seen people do superhuman things? When they truly fear for their life in a sudden moment. That's when people can change shit real quick. You know, like somebody who says they're crippled or they're having a bad time, they can't walk real well. You know, suddenly they're in a car accident or there's a car flying toward them or something. I mean, they get legs, don't they? They can move. Oh man. I don't know. Maybe we should have a test before people go on SSDI. Put them in a burning building. If they can't get out, well, they were telling you the truth. If they can get out, they're disqualified. See how that works? You know, witch hunt. That works. It's the old witch hunt theory. It works. If it was a lot of money on entitlements, I would die. I would burn up in the building. But hey, you'd know I was telling the truth. What do you guys want to talk about? We want to keep talking about life after death, life before death. What the fuck is the purpose of life? I mean, I know RD could get very deep, and all of us can. But what is? I don't feel. I've never felt meaning in life. I used to be. I grew up in a fairly conservative Christian household, and it wasn't church-going Christian. It was just okay. We'll believe in God because that's what our parents told us to believe in. And I did go to church like 3 or 4 times as a kid with different people. And I do remember going to any Sunday school or church type environment was the most depressing times I ever had in my life. Everything was proper. Everything was quiet. You were a failure that was coming to learn about your failures. Fuck that. You can keep that shit. And I would never try to put my kid through that shit. Oh my God. And why do they do it? Well, it's, you know, there could be different motivations, but you know what they get out of it. They get you putting money in that pail because you feel like you need godliness in your life. You poor sinner, you can pay the man to overlook your sins. Just put some money right in here. The preacher will get you closer to God. He's the vessel. He's the avenue. Just put some money in here. Keep him going, and you'll be next to God. So when you die, you won't be thrown into a pit of lava. You know, we might have really mind-fucked ourselves with religion. I mean, but we also have to figure out a way to keep... What do we do to keep morals? I know Stabby's going to recommend a book here. What does he say? I'm just saying all this could have, would have, what if, along with the anecdotal stories and warm feelings about how important Earth is, don't mean aliens. Oh, he's still going on about aliens. Maybe aliens have never been here, but I definitely believe they exist because I believe there's life all over this fucking universe. Just like if I were a tiny little bacterium that had this brain and I was in a bathtub and I didn't know what my environment was, I'd say, I'll bet you there's some like mold spores everywhere. There's got to be life all over this place. The conditions are right for it, and the space is adequate for it. But no, I would never claim that's fact. I know the difference between fact and theory. Aliens are likely to exist, just unlikely to be self-aware and unlikely to be interstellar travelers. How many billions of species have existed on Earth? Only one of them mastered tools beyond jamming twigs into termite mouths. True. Chimpanzees can do that. We stepped up above them. There are many limits and reasons why they are not here, and you can just keep moving the goalposts when they don't fit. Well, I think we should be careful about trying to ascribe reason to any alien life form. I mean, first of all, let's say that some are just barely more advanced than us. This is just completely hypothetical, of course. And they're traveling, and they figured out interstellar. They've found wormholes, or they make their own wormholes through manipulating intense gravity. And they make it here. And they're barely more advanced than us. They've just maybe, say, technologically, maybe 5 or 10,000 years past us, okay? So they're thinking along the lines of, let's go make contact. That's different than someone who's maybe 500,000 years technologically past us, who just wants to observe in the same way that we want to observe creatures in their own habitat. And if you notice, there is a growing sensitivity among biologists and scientists to not disturb these animals in their habitats. So, no, it's not fair for me to try to put this anthropomorphic label on the view of an alien who may come from an entirely different set of not only beliefs, but the entire brain structure or thinking structure or even computing structure that would create such a belief. Maybe their belief is kill anything you come across, it is competition. Maybe their belief is abduct anything you come across. Take pictures from afar. Take their gold. Get in, get the gold, get out. You know, could be anything driving motivations of advanced civilizations elsewhere, but I don't know. I just see life as it has to be plentiful. It feels so right to believe that. Now, there are some theorists out there that say the problem with advanced life form is once they get intelligent enough to advance off of their own planet, say, they also are intelligent enough to defend themselves against large groups of others of themselves, which makes them almost certain to be self-defeating. I wonder if that is the ultimate end of life, and how can you get past it? What if it is? What if we find out that's the universal ultimate end of life? Once your technology gets good enough to get you off of your planet, it's also too good defense-wise, and you're going to kill yourselves. Ultimate self-destruction every time, like clockwork. Just like a star comes into life, just like a star goes out of life. Okay, I'm trying to figure out which ones of you believe aliens have been here versus aliens exist versus UFOs have been here versus UFOs exist. I don't, we don't know. I mean, maybe there's some evidence and it's been hidden, or maybe we're not giving some witnesses enough credibility. Like the Disclosure Project, I believe those pilots and astronauts said what they saw, or saw what they said they saw. A lot of S's. And, but, some of them could have been mistaken. But when you're getting fucking 2 Japanese pilots on an airliner seeing something the size of 3 aircraft carriers, and it's corroborated by 2 separate radar centers, and they're seeing the object, I mean, and they know, these Japanese guys, if you know anything about Japan, that is highly embarrassing to report something that wasn't there. They know they're going to be fired. They know they're going to be ostracized, and they were. And they still reported it. Never wrote a fucking book about it. Did 1 interview after the whole FAA investigation. You can't just say that didn't happen. Nah, that didn't happen. Mistake, whether it was inversion. It was a whole punch cloud. Don't worry about it. No, it wasn't. I mean, you have 2 very reliable witnesses in the sky corroborated by FAA tracking radar on the ground, along with corresponding military confirmation that there were no craft in the sky being tested at all, and they would have told the airport if there were. They just wouldn't have described what it was, because it's dangerous, and they know that. Nothing. Giant fucking acorn is what it looked like. Look up that case. That's a good one. But I'm not saying I know what that is, Stabby. I don't know what that was. I don't know if there was anything in it intelligent. But I believe those guys saw what they said they saw, and I believe the chance that it was an illusion, considering all the corroboration, is very slim. But I think we do have illusions, and I think people, every time people, once the UFA culture started, people are very prone to suggestion. So all you got to say is, hey, UFOs, and next thing you know, everybody's seeing them. Now, part of that could be because there's still some good witnesses out there that are now looking up and weren't even looking up before. Nobody wants to give credit to that. They all want to call it just popular mass hysteria. But what about the astronomers that are looking at the moon, the amateur astronomers, that have some pretty high-powered telescopes now, and they pick up motion objects that don't fit in with the descriptions of things that should be flying past the moon? Lights, changing direction, things like that. And we just discount them. Yeah, forget about it. Who knows? Maybe the rock hit another rock you didn't see, and that's why it changed direction. Why don't we give them a serious look? We don't. As soon as someone says UFO in America, they are immediately ostracized and marginalized. Nobody wants to hear any more. They have, in the FAA manual now, it says, do not report UFOs, do not ask us questions about it. So you think about that. If you were a foreign country and you wanted to fuck with America, I'll tell you how to do it. Make your drones look just like UFOs. Why? Because nobody's going to report them, especially the military. And if they do, nobody's going to believe them. So make your drones look like UFOs. It's ridiculous, man. We should report what we see. If people are crazy and they're reporting crazy shit in the sky, they ought to be labeled as crazy. Otherwise, fucking look into it. Yeah, they have been looking, Stabby, I agree. But 75 years is a blip, man. I mean, consider the tech. I don't think our technology's that great, man. We're just getting good now in the last 20 years. I used to work on a well, I can't tell you what it was, but let's just say it involved our best technology, and it was quite erroneous sometimes. Ghosts are the same thing. I just have fun looking for ghosts. I don't know what ghosts are. I don't know if they're real. I think ghost might be a very broad definition for things that we see that appear to be physical in form, but may not be. And here's my thing. Let's say ghosts don't exist, but me and a friend, which happened once, saw something that looked like a lady standing out on a beach. I want to know exactly what that is. And if it's not there, if we're actually imagining that, I want to know how we're both imagining the same thing. I want to figure that out, you know? Entire stealth bomber teams swear they saw UFOs. Something's going on. Could be them having a laugh, joke, secret military projects. True, Aaron, but it deserves a look. And these people on these bomber crews and fighter crews, you know, it started in World War II with the, what'd they call them? You guys probably remember. They had a name that was based on a comic book, I think. And they were seeing these lights come up and fly alongside the aircraft. Now, these guys were used to seeing flak and cannons and even flares shot up sometimes, but these lights were coming up and traveling alongside them. And they realized quickly that these weren't landing lights on an aircraft or anything. These were just balls of light. And they couldn't figure it out. And they started reporting them. And these reports, it wasn't just a guy here or there. They were coming in by the dozens. And everybody was afraid this was Hitler's new super weapon. What was it? What were those balls of light? Did we just say forget that, Stabby? No, I don't want to look into it. I mean, yeah, it could have been ball lightning, but I don't think so. I think the descriptions I've heard of ball lightning are far more rare and powerful than these little balls of light they were seeing. I say we look into that. Why not look into that? I don't see why we discount it immediately, except for the fact that the United States government has been on a campaign since 1945, for whatever its reasons are, to get anybody who mentions the word UFO tossed out of any circle of belief that they may have been in. I like that other countries are opening up. They're not claiming, yes, we have aliens. They're claiming, here's our UFO shit. Have a look. France did it. England did it. South America's doing it. Africa's doing it. They're doing it in the Middle East now. If you look at the case of the F-16 fighter pilot from Iran, I believe it was an Iranian pilot. I'm not sure. Let me think about it. I think it was two Iranian pilots that chased a UFO and were getting ready to fire on it when their systems were completely disabled, and they have the radio transmissions from that. Could have been something of ours, sure, but you know, to ignore it is just, I don't see why we would do that. I won't ignore it. Might not learn anything from it, but to ignore it is just to wear blinders. And there could be a whole new energy source out there we're missing, or some sort of plane that's breaking into our dimensions that we need to pay attention to because we could use it for something, or travel through it or to it, you know? All right, I'm going to leave it up to Apocalypse if he is so inclined to find a transitional show for us here. It's 3:37 Alpha Meridian. And I won't have much voice left here in a minute. I don't know who's on. Was anybody listening to Grandpa Al's show earlier today? And the lady that got mad? I was trying to figure out who she was mad at. I understand that. The UK has only just closed its UFO detecting investigating branch of the government. That's right. one of the guys that appears on the lottery